and the man responsible was Ruben Amorim. Old Trafford was supposed to be his stage. Instead, he built a record that will follow him forever. He couldn't beat Wolves at home. He got knocked out of the Carabao Cup, and no matter how many times it failed, he refused to change. That 3-4-3 made him famous. It put Sporting back on top after 19 years. But United's players aren't Sporting's players. Bruno Fernandes is a player who lives off creativity, and Amorim buried him in defensive responsibility. Casemiro was finished. Mainu was heading for the exit. Instead of adapting to the players he had, Amorim insisted on his way. After the draw with Leeds, he hit out at everyone around him. Said he wasn't a coach, he was a manager. The next day, he sat down with Jason Wilcox. Wilcox calmly suggested a change of system. A day later, Amorim was sacked. The season doesn't stop. United still had games to play and no one in charge. The choice landed on Michael Carrick. Why Carrick? Because in his interview, he did something Amorim never did. He listened, he didn't set conditions, he didn't talk about needing 3 years to build a process. He asked what players were available and how to get the best out of them. Before this, Carrick had spent 2.5 years at Middlesbrough. The club was a relegation candidate in the championship. Within months, he had them near the top of the table, playing attacking, attractive football, and most importantly, he transformed players. He gave them clear instructions. He turned an average striker into a 29-goal a season forward. The moment Carrick took over, the Amorim nightmare was over. From game one, there was no philosophizing. He went with a 4-2-3-1, a shape every player in that squad understood, and the changes were instant. 2 holding midfielders instead of 1. Casemiro was no longer exposed. He had a partner covering the space. He could focus on what he does best, reading the game and cutting out attacks. Bruno moved back to the 10, receiving the ball facing goal, free to pick the right moment for the final pass. Dorgu arrived at United as a left back. He gave him a chance on the left wing. Risky? Absolutely. If it hadn't worked, everyone would have called it a stupid decision from the new manager. In a derby where nobody expected anything from United, Carrick had been in charge for 3 days. The squad was broken. City were chasing the title. Carrick set a trap. United dropped deep, let City have the ball. Nearly 70% possession for the visitors, and they couldn't do a thing with it. Maguire and Martinez shut everything down, and when City started losing patience, United struck. 65th minute. Bruno drives forward from inside his own half, picks out Mbeumo's run, and slides it through. One touch, one finish, bottom corner. Old Trafford explodes, then Cunha comes off the bench and sends a cross in from the right. Dorgu gets ahead of Rico Lewis and hammers it home. 2-0. After the game, Lisandro Martinez said it was the best atmosphere at Old Trafford since he joined the club. And now back to where we started. In 2021, Carrick took temporary charge of United for just 3 games. 3 games unbeaten. Ronaldo under Carrick scored 3 goals in 3 matches. He wasn't even in the starting lineup against Chelsea, and he didn't complain. And we all know how big Ronaldo's ego is. That's what everyone misses. Ronaldo was never the problem. His problem was with managers who didn't know what they were doing. 5 years later, we're watching the same Carrick. Arsenal hadn't lost at the Emirates all season. This time, Carrick didn't come to sit back. It started with a Martinez own goal, but that's where you could feel the difference. Amorim's United would have collapsed right there. This United responded. Before halftime, Mbeumo pounced on a Zubimendi mistake and equalized. Then, 50th minute, Dorgu produced a stunning half volley from 20 yards after a quick 1-2 with Bruno. Arsenal pulled level through Marino from a corner. That would have been a fair result, but then Cunha picked up the ball 30 yards out. He turned and with ice-cold confidence curled it into the bottom corner. Arsenal hadn't conceded 3 goals in a single match since December 2023. This was United's first win at the Emirates since December 2017. 2 weeks earlier, United's own fans were booing. At the Emirates, the away end was singing, "We're gonna win the league." For a lot of people, Fulham was the real test, and it was tight. Deep into stoppage time, it was 2-2. Then the man everyone had written off scored the winner. Under Amorim, Sesko looked like a player who didn't belong at this level. The same player who didn't want to take a penalty against Grimsby. Gary Neville said he was miles behind Cunha and Mbeumo. Even Amorim admitted it. Sesko was struggling, and that was a fact. And that exact player in the 94th minute, back to goal, turned and fired it into the top corner. Old Trafford went absolutely mental. And then came Tottenham. Spurs hadn't lost to United in 8 matches. 29 minutes in, Christian Romero went in studs up on Casemiro. Straight red card. 9 minutes later, United made them pay. A corner routine off the training ground. Mbeumo slots it home. His 6th Premier League goal against Spurs. 2-0. Bruno's 200th goal involvement for United. Only Wayne Rooney reached that mark faster. This doesn't mean Carrick is a genius. He didn't invent a new system. He did what was obvious, what Amorim refused to do. Dorgu picked up an injury. Casemiro is 33. There's a massive amount of work ahead if Carrick stays beyond this season. But the most important thing is that something is finally changing at United after billions spent going nowhere. The players look like they believe in each other again. The atmosphere at Old Trafford is back, and you can't buy that.